Hello everyone. Today we are going to start third chapter, that is plant kingdom. As per five kingdom system of classification, already we have discussed about all the five kingdoms: Monera, Protista, fungi, plantae and animalia. Now in the third chapter, you have to study kingdom plantae in detail. Again in the next chapter, in chapter 4, we will discuss about kingdom animal in detail. Kingdom plantae is further classified by so many scientists, as this kingdom is very broad. So many plants which are present on the earth we have to study in this kingdom, started from algae, bryophytes, pteridophytes, gymnosperm, angiosperms. All these plants are kept into the kingdom plantae. So it's a very broad, or you can say huge kingdom, which includes all the plants. And the plant kingdom is further classified by so many scientists. So first of all, we will discuss about the classification of the plant kingdom. Then we will start the different divisions of the kingdom plantae. Types of classification system. The first one is the artificial system of classification. The artificial system of classification was given by Carolus Linnaeus in 1753, and Carolus Linnaeus classified kingdom plantae on the basis of vegetative characters, as well as he also considered some of the sexual characters also, and those characters were based on the structure of androecium. He took so many vegetative characters, very simple vegetative characters, like the shape and size of the plants, the colors of the leaves, the habitat of the plants. Means very simple characteristics he took. The morphological characteristics, means the characteristics which are seen from outside, can be observed by the naked eye, and all these characteristics are vegetative characters. And he also took some of the reproductive characters, sexual characters also. In this classification system, he gave the equal importance of the vegetative as well as the reproductive characters. But as you know, the vegetative characters, the morphological characters, they can be changed into the adverse climatic conditions. These observable characters are not fixed, they are not permanent, and these characters may be changed time to time. So, the artificial system of classification was not up to the mark given by the Carolus Linnaeus, and he also gave the equal importance of the vegetative as well as the reproductive, or you can say the sexual characters. As I told you, the vegetative characters are easily influenced by the environment. Suppose if the environment is moderate, there is the moderate light, temperature, humidity, definitely the vegetative growth will be much better. If the climatic conditions are not so good, or you can say the climatic conditions are adverse, the morphological traits may be changed, and that's why the vegetative characters are not a good parameter to classify the plants by which the Carolus Linnaeus classified. So this kingdom system of classification had disadvantage. I have written here. He given the equal weightage to the vegetative and sexual characters, and as you know, the vegetative characters are easily influenced by the environment. So this classification system was not sufficient, not considered later on by the scientists. The artificial system of classification was followed by natural system of classification, and this natural system of classification is much better than the artificial system of classification. Still, we follow this system of classification in the present time. The natural system of classification was given by George Bentham and Joseph Dalton Hooker. Simply you can say Bentham and Hooker. In between 1862 to 1883. So many volumes of this classification were published. Some of the papers were published in 62 and some of the papers in between 62 to 83. So the Bentham and Hooker published his papers in between 1862 to 1883. The natural system of classification was based on the natural affinity among the organisms. Natural affinity means whatsoever the external appearance are to be there, these all are the morphological features. What do you mean by the morphology and anatomy? Morphology is the external appearance of any individual, means the traits, the characters which are observable, which you can see by your naked eye. The phenotype you can say, the external look. So all these characters are morphology. And what do you mean by anatomy? Anatomy is the internal structures of a plant, about the tissues, about the cells, about the anatomy. So internal structure, that is called anatomy. In natural system of classification, both morphology and anatomy, both characters were considered by Bentham and Hooker. So I have written here, Bentham and Hooker considered both external and internal features such as structure. Anatomy means the study of the tissues. Embryology, he also considered that how embryo is formed from the zygote, how the different stages of the embryo comes, what is the relationship of the embryonic development, that is morula, blastula, gastrula, in between the different groups of the organisms, and accordingly he classified the living organism, especially here the plants, into the different taxa. He also considered the phytochemistry. Phytochemistry means whatsoever the chemicals. Phytochemistry means the biochemistry of the plants. Phyto means the plant chemistry, that what kind of the chemical substances are present in a particular group of the plants. If the phytochemistry is correlated to each other into the different groups, he kept the different groups of the plants into a particular different plants into a particular group, and accordingly he decided the different taxa. So overall, the Bentham and Hooker in natural system of the classification, he considered both morphology and anatomy of the plants. Morphology means the stem, the root, the structure of the leaf, as well as the anatomy means the internal structure of the plants, as well as he also considered the embryonic development, embryo development of the plants, as well as phytochemistry, and accordingly he made different taxa, different groups, and this system of classification is more acceptable in comparison to the artificial system of classification. Now, after the natural system of classification, the third one is the phylogenetic system of classification. Both these system of classification are more acceptable in the present time. This is phylogenetic system of classification is much better also than the natural system of classification. The phylogenetic system of classification was given by Engler and Prandtl in 1886. In phylogenetic system of classification, Engler and Prandtl classified the different groups of the plants on the basis of evolutionary history. He considered so many characteristics: morphology, anatomy, phytochemistry, physiology, genetic basis, as well as their evolutionary history. Means he added in the natural system, in natural system of classification, there was a drawback. Bentham and Hooker did not consider the evolutionary history of any plant, that how the plants they are originated. They did not study about the fossils. They couldn't trace out that how the different groups of the plants they have been evolved. But in phylogenetic system of classification, Engler and Prandtl also considered the evolutionary history of the plants. Suppose if the related plants are there, they may have the same common ancestry. They studied about the fossils, and on the basis of the fossils, they finally came on the conclusion that the different groups of the organism might have been evolved from the common ancestry. If their common ancestry is same, they kept the different plants into the same category, into the same taxa. If their fossils were not matched, they classified into the different groups. So more closely organisms means they might have been evolved from the common ancestor. I have written here the phylogenetic system of classification are based on the evolutionary history. It's very, very important. You have to point biochemical nature. These scientists, they studied in a very deep. Biochemical means what kind of the chemical reactions are going on inside the cell into the different groups of the plants. They also studied the anatomy, then morphology, physiology means their functioning, as well as the embryological studies and genetical studies also. This system of classification is highly advanced and almost this system of classification includes all the criteria for the classification, whether it is morphology, anatomy, embryology, genetic basis, as well as he added finally the evolutionary history also. So this system is more acceptable even from the natural system of classification. Now, after these three classification, artificial, natural and phylogenetic system of classification, some other taxonomy are also there to study the plants, to classify the plants into the different groups. If they are related to each other, they have been kept into the same category. If they are unrelated, they have been placed into the different categories. So some other fields are also there. Other bases are also there in the present time to classify the plants properly. And these two are numerical, three are numerical taxonomy, cytotaxonomy and chemotaxonomy. All the three different taxonomical studies are included in your textbook also. Let us see what is numerical taxonomy. As the name indicates, numerical taxonomy is based totally on the mathematical data. The numerical taxonomy is based on the observable characters, and all these morphological characteristics or the, you can say, observable characteristics may be noted on a sheet of the paper, and finally you can write into the computer. At a particular time, nearly 100 of the characteristics, observable characteristics of the plants, you can note down in the computer, and finally you can get the answer that from which family, from which taxa that particular plant belongs. Computer based data means just in the numerical taxonomy, what is required? To note down the characteristics of any plant which is not identified, that what kind of the root is there, what is the nature of the stem, what is the margin of the leaf, what type of, you can say, that venation is to be there, what is the kind of phyllotaxy. Means so many characteristics you can club together, and all these characteristics are given equal weightage also, and these observable characteristics may be fed into the computer, and accordingly we can get the answer that in which taxa that particular plant belongs. So it makes the classification system more easier also. And in the numerical taxonomy also, these characteristics may be coded. The number and codes are assigned to all the organisms. If different organisms are there, so many characteristics are to be there, you can make the code also that you have taken this code for this plant and you can get the answer through the computer. Second, cytotaxonomy. What do you mean by cytotaxonomy? As the name indicates, cyto means cell, the study of the cell. Cytotaxonomy means the taxonomy or the study of the plants which are based on the structure of the cell, and especially in the cytotaxonomy we consider the structure of the chromosomes, position of the centromere, types of the chromosome, whether it is acrocentric, metacentric, telocentric. Till the time you have not studied all the kinds of the chromosome, but in the cell chapter definitely I will teach you about the chromosome, the kinds of the chromosome. But the chromosomes, they are of different types, and accordingly we can study that whether the plants they are correlated to each other or not. In the cytotaxonomy is mainly based on the chromosome and the behavior of the chromosome also, the number of chromosomes also, that how many chromosomes are present. As you know, in human being, the total number of chromosomes in a cell is 46. We are diploid. Some other organisms, they are also diploid, having two sets of the chromosomes. In some of the organisms, only a single set of the chromosomes, they are haploid. So whether the organisms, they are haploid or diploid, how many chromosomes numbers are to be there, what is the position of the centromere, and if the different organisms, they show the same feature regarding the chromosome, if they are interrelated to each other, the chromosomes are going to be matched, or their location is same or almost same, they may be placed into a particular group, into the particular taxa. They may be kept into a particular class, into the particular group. If their chromosomes are not going to be matched, if they are unrelated, they might be placed into the different taxa. For example, the human being and ape, the chromosomes are almost same. That's why it is considered that the human being might have been evolved from the ape. So on the basis of the structure of the chromosomes, their behavior, the position of the centromere, we can classify the plants into the different taxa, into the different groups, into the different orders, etc. Now the last one is the chemotaxonomy. What do you mean by chemotaxonomy? The chemo means chemical. The chemotaxonomy is based on the presence of metabolites, the chemical substances, the primary and secondary metabolites. Means what is the nature of the carbohydrate, proteins, fats. If the common type of metabolites are to be there into the different organisms, they are placed into the same group. If the chemistry, or you can say the compounds, they are differ, into the different organisms, they are not going to be matched. They may be kept into the different groups. So in chemotaxonomy especially, it includes the study of the metabolites, the chemical compounds. These are carbohydrates, proteins, fat, vitamins. Some secondary metabolites are also to be there, like essential oil, aromatic compounds. In some of the plants, the same kind of aroma is to be there, aromatic compounds are to be there. Means all these plants may have the same group, might have been evolved from the same plant. They are classified into the same group. If the nature of the compounds, they are going to be different, the aroma or the different compounds are to be there, they are classified into the different groups. So chemotaxonomy is also a kind of classification system in which the plants were classified on the basis of the chemicals present in the plant. So these all are the types of the classification system which are made to classify the plantae, or you can say the plants. Tomorrow we will discuss about the algae, about the characteristics of the algae, that what are the characteristics of the algae. Then different classes are to be there of the algae, like chlorophyceae, Phaeophyceae, Rhodophyceae. So we'll discuss tomorrow. But today I taught you about the classification system of kingdom Plantae. I request you all to revise, to study all these headings again through your NCERT book. If you don't have the NCERT book, please download the NCERT contents online and you go through the contents. Before I close this lesson, please note down some of the questions related to the topics which I taught today. Question number 1. Name the scientist who classified plants by artificial system of classification. Question number 2. Write the disadvantages of artificial system of classification. Question number 2. What criteria are considered to classify plants? What criteria are considered to classify plants as per natural system of classification? Question number 3. Write the advantages of phylogenetic system of classification. Write the advantages of phylogenetic system of classification. Phylogenetic system of classification. Next, what is numerical taxonomy? What is numerical taxonomy? Write its advantages. What is numerical taxonomy? Write its advantages. And the last question is, differentiate between cytotaxonomy and chemotaxonomy. Differentiate between cytotaxonomy and chemotaxonomy. So that's all for today. Today I have started the third chapter. From the previous two chapters, chapter 1 and chapter 2, I have already given the assignments. I request you all to complete the previous two chapters. And in case of any doubt, you please write your queries, your doubts in the comment box. You can also write in the WhatsApp. But all these assignments are very, very important, and you try to complete all these assignments so you will not have the problem later on. Thanks to everyone.